You said this would be the year. You said you'd start. You said you'd change. You said you'd finally become the person you've been talking about for far too long. You promised yourself things would be different. That this time you'd follow through, that you'd stop making excuses, that you'd stop waiting for the right moment, the right motivation, the right mood. But here you are, another year, slipping through your fingers like water. Look back, how many times have you had this conversation with yourself? How many Januaries have started with fire only to fade into forgetfulness by February? How many Mondays came with motivation only to collapse under the weight of the same old habits? This is the moment of truth, and it's staring you in the face. How much longer are you going to keep betraying your potential? Because that's exactly what this is. Every time you say later, you lie to yourself. Every time you say someday, you push your dreams one step further out of reach. And every time you settle for what's easy instead of what's necessary, you dig the hole just a little deeper. You can feel it, can't you? That dull, gnawing feeling in your gut that you were made for more, but you're not doing what it takes to become it. That uncomfortable truth that you're capable of something greater, but still running in circles. That quiet whisper in the back of your mind that keeps asking, what if you don't change? What if this is it? Because the hard truth is this: nothing changes unless you do. Time won't do it for you. New Year's won't save you. External motivation won't carry you. Your life doesn't magically transform just because another calendar page flips. The only thing that transforms your life is action. Relentless, uncomfortable, imperfect action. And the action starts with honesty. You have to be brutally honest about where you are right now. Stop sugarcoating your own stagnation. Stop pretending you're figuring it out when you're really just avoiding discomfort. Stop calling it patience when it's really just procrastination in disguise. Be real with yourself. You are the one standing in your way. This isn't about blaming yourself. It's about owning your life. Because once you own it, you can change it. But you can't change what you won't confront. You won't grow from a truth you keep avoiding. You won't build anything real if all you're doing is dreaming without doing. So here's the question you need to face right now. If nothing changes, where will you be 1 year from today? Think about that. Think about waking up a year from now realizing that nothing improved, that you're still stuck in the same patterns, still living with the same doubts, still frustrated by the same lack of progress. Think about how that would feel, that sting of regret, that heavy weight of wasted time, that realization that you had another shot and let it pass. Now, flip the script. Imagine waking up 1 year from now, knowing you gave everything you had, knowing you committed, knowing you took control. Imagine the pride, the strength, the proof that you're no longer just hoping you're building. It's not a fantasy. It's a decision. It's not about talent or luck or motivation. It's about ownership. And ownership starts today. This is your wake-up call. The clock isn't stopping. Life isn't waiting. You can keep running from the work, or you can finally rise to meet the challenge. You can keep repeating the same year over and over, or you can break the cycle and create something real. This is your moment of truth, and you don't need another plan. You don't need more inspiration. You just need to decide. Right now, are you going to waste another year? Or is this the one you finally make count? Time is the one thing you never get back. Once it's spent, it's gone. There's no refund, no rewind, no negotiation. And the harsh truth, time doesn't care how busy you are, doesn't care how tired you feel. It doesn't care about your doubts, your fears, your overthinking. Time doesn't ask for permission. It just keeps moving with or without you. You can pause your goals. You can delay your dreams. But time won't pause with you. It won't wait for you to feel ready. It won't hold off until life gets easier. It won't hit the brakes just because you're scared of what's next. And here's where most people get it wrong. They act like time is patient. They treat it like it's infinite. They waste their mornings, their weeks, their years as if there's always more. as if they'll magically have the discipline tomorrow that they avoided today. But tomorrow doesn't promise anything. It never did. There's a quiet danger in delay, a subtle lie you tell yourself, I've got time. It sounds harmless, it sounds responsible, but underneath it's a trap. Because what you're really saying is, I'll wait until life forces me to act. And by then the opportunity is gone, the window is closed, the momentum is lost. What could have been a chapter of growth becomes another paragraph of regret. You don't feel time slipping until it's already behind you. That's what makes it dangerous. You waste a day here, a week there, a month pretending, and suddenly it's another year of explaining, another year of wishing, another year of standing in place while everything around you keeps moving forward. Ask yourself how many opportunities have passed you by, not because you weren't capable, but because you hesitated, because you thought you'd have more time to figure it out, because you let another day go by without starting. Time doesn't care about potential. It doesn't reward good intentions. It rewards movement, consistency, courage. The people who get ahead in life aren't always the smartest. They're not always the most talented, but they respect time. They treat it like the resource it truly is, limited and powerful. They don't waste hours wondering what could go wrong. They use every minute making something go right. The clock is ticking for all of us, and it doesn't tick louder for the successful. It just ticks for those who are paying attention. So stop acting like you're in control of time. You're not. What you control is how you use it. What you control is how you show up, minute by minute, day by day. Because you are what fills the time. You are what gives those hours meaning or lets them slip into nothing. The truth is, every second you're spending right now is an investment or a waste. There's no neutral. You're either building or breaking, moving forward or standing still, becoming or remaining. And while you're sitting there wondering if you're ready, someone else is moving. While you're waiting for the perfect moment, someone else is creating it. While you're overthinking your next step, someone else already took it. And that's why time feels like it speeds up the older you get, not because the clock moves faster, but because you've stopped moving with it. You've become a spectator to your own time, watching it pass, watching it drift, watching it fade. But not anymore, because now you know, now you've heard it straight. Time doesn't slow down. It doesn't wait for your confidence to catch up. It doesn't pause for your excuses. It doesn't care about your fear. It only asks one thing: what are you going to do with this moment? Not yesterday, not next week, not when it's easier. This one. Because this moment, it's all you've ever had, and it's the only one you can still change. Comfort is seductive. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It doesn't force you to quit. It convinces you not to start. It tells you to slow down when you should be speeding up. It tells you you're doing enough when deep down you know you're coasting. Comfort is clever. It doesn't look like a threat. It looks like rest, like peace, like a reward. But it becomes a prison when you stay too long, a trap disguised as safety, a cage dressed up as self-care. And the worst part, you don't even realize you're stuck until time's passed and you're still in the same place wondering how the years got away from you. You weren't born to live in a loop. You weren't built to do just enough to get by. You weren't designed for the bare minimum, but comfort will convince you otherwise. It will make you believe that maintenance is success, that avoiding risk is wisdom, that surviving is the same as living. It feeds you lies to keep you still. It tells you the pain of growth isn't worth it. It reminds you of past failures and says, see, that's why we don't try again. It shows you the path of least resistance and tells you it's the wise choice. But deep down, you know better. Deep down, there's a fire in you that knows comfort isn't where greatness lives. You know that ease has never built anything worthwhile. You know that every strong version of yourself came out of discomfort. Not despite it, but because of it. The truth is, anything that matters will demand something from you. It will ask for your energy, your time, your effort, your vulnerability. It will challenge who you are and stretch who you're becoming. And yes, it will hurt sometimes. But that pain, that pressure, that discomfort, it's proof that you're growing, that you're moving forward, that you're not asleep at the wheel. Comfort wants to numb you. It wants to make you okay with almost started, almost committed, almost followed through. But almost is just the echo of a life you could have lived. And let's be honest, comfort doesn't lead to happiness. Not real happiness. Real happiness comes from progress, from challenge, from pushing past what you thought was your limit and realizing it wasn't. Real happiness comes from building something within yourself, around yourself, despite the resistance. It comes from showing up for yourself when it would have been easier not to. You already know what comfort looks like. You've lived it, and maybe for a while it gave you a break. But now it's become a weight. It's not rest anymore, it's retreat. Not recovery, it's resignation. And if you stay there, if you keep choosing what's familiar over what's necessary, you'll end up becoming someone you don't respect. Not because you're not capable, but because you knew better and still chose less. So it's time to get uncomfortable. It's time to lean into the things that scare you. Time to do the hard things, not later, not perfect, not when you feel like it now, because on the other side of discomfort is growth. And on the other side of growth is the life you keep imagining. But you can't get there by staying here. You can't become more while refusing to leave the version of you that's comfortable. So break free. Step into the friction. Step into the stretch. Because comfort may feel good now, but in the end it's the slowest kind of death. Success doesn't ask how you feel. It doesn't check your mood before it shows up. It doesn't wait for you to be motivated, inspired, or emotionally aligned. Success responds to action, period. Not to feelings, not to intentions, not to vibes. And this is where most people get it wrong. They think success is something you chase when you're in the right mindset. They think it requires energy, excitement, passion, or confidence. They sit around waiting to feel ready before they begin, not realizing that readiness isn't a requirement. It's a result. You don't wait to feel successful before acting like someone who succeeds. You act first. You move anyway. You show up tired. You show up stressed. You show up unsure. Because success doesn't reward feelings, it rewards discipline. The truth is, some days you won't feel it at all. Some mornings the alarm will go off and everything in you will want to quit. Some nights you'll question if any of this is worth it. And in those moments your feelings will try to negotiate with your goals. They'll try to rewrite the plan, delay the effort, lower the bar. Well, that's where the separation happens. That's where the average give in and the committed push forward. That's where you prove who you really are. Not when everything is easy, but when nothing is. Because let's be clear, success is not emotional, it's behavioral. It's about the choices you make when you don't feel like it. It's about the promises you keep to yourself when no one else would even notice if you broke them. Your emotions will lie to you. They'll tell you to take it easy. They'll tell you that rest is more important than repetition. They'll convince you that you've done enough when you've barely scratched the surface. But your habits, your actions, your discipline, they tell the truth. So stop waiting for a feeling to carry you. Start building systems that don't care whether or not you're in the mood. Rely on consistency, not motivation. Rely on structure, not inspiration. You don't brush your teeth only when you feel like it. You don't go to work only on the days when you're in a good mood. You show up because it's part of the process. And if your dreams really matter to you, they deserve the same respect. Because the people who win aren't superhuman. They're not always fired up. They're not always overflowing with energy. They just do it anyway. When they're tired, when they're bored, when they're frustrated, when they'd rather be doing anything else. They understand something most people never learn. Feelings are fleeting, but results compound. They build brick by brick, rep by rep, day by day. Even on the days that felt worthless. Even on the days when the only victory was showing up. You don't become successful by chasing a feeling. You become successful by honoring a standard. By doing the work because it matters, not because it's fun. By showing up because you said you would, not because you felt like it. So no, success is not a feeling. It's a decision. One you make again and again, especially when it's hard. Especially when it's inconvenient. Especially when everything in you wants to take the easy way out. Because the difference between the life you want and the one you're living is not how you feel. It's what you do. Waiting feels harmless. On the surface, it seems like nothing is happening. You tell yourself you're just thinking things through, being careful, figuring it out. But make no mistake, waiting always has a cost. And it's higher than you think. Every time you choose delay over action, there's a price being paid. You may not see the damage right away. It's not loud, it doesn't scream, but it stacks up silently. It shows up in lost opportunities, in momentum that never builds, in a version of you that never gets created. You wait one day, then another, and soon you're living in the space between who you are and who you could have been. That space, that gap, it's filled with nothing but regret. You may tell yourself you're being patient, but there's a difference between patience and procrastination. Patience is waiting with purpose. Procrastination is fear wearing a mask, and that fear, it keeps you small. It tells you you'll start when you're more confident, that you'll begin when you have a little more time, that you'll move forward after this next thing. But that moment never comes, because what you're really doing is hiding. You're avoiding discomfort by dressing it up as logic. But while you wait, life doesn't. The world keeps spinning. Opportunities keep moving. And someone out there with less experience, fewer resources, and more self-belief just passed you by. Not because they were better, but because they started. Waiting costs you growth. Because growth doesn't come from standing still. It comes from motion, from effort, from exposure, from putting yourself in situations where you're forced to stretch. You can't think your way into the person you want to become. You have to act your way there. Waiting costs you time, your most valuable, irreplaceable asset. You can recover money. You can rebuild confidence. But the hours you let slip by while you overanalyze, overthink, and second-guess, they don't come back. Time doesn't refund you for caution. It just keeps moving forward while you stay stuck and rewind. Waiting also costs you belief. Every day you don't act, you reinforce the idea that maybe you're not ready. And the longer you believe that, the more it becomes your truth. Not because it's real, but because repetition turns doubt into identity. And suddenly, you're not just someone who delays. You're someone who doesn't. You can't afford to let that happen.